For a long time, Vladimir Putin has been waging war on Europe. His invasion of Ukraine is just one part of that wider war. Armoured cars and tanks and guns are sent to Ukraine. But he deploys more insidious weapons too.
Only military facilities are being destroyed.
Every day the Russian propaganda machine goes into overdrive to deny its crimes, to rewrite history as it's taking place. To find out the truth, you have to get to the source, right to the front line.
Let's go.
Ну, то, что им, наверное, надо знать, вы им донесете, вы им покажете, что здесь творится.
Ну, они выпугивают нас. Призрак.
This was somebody's home.
Це місце це і було. А в Херсоні.
Пусть бы они уже шли к себе домой, да не трогали нас.
Genocide.
It's genocide. Be fucking careful there.
Well, this is our land. We're defending it.
Welcome everybody to RadPod and Chill. As you can see, we opened with the screening of The Eastern Front, our friends from Byline TV's new documentary featuring RadPod guests John Sweeney and Zarina Zabriskie. Zarina is an author, poet turned war correspondent because she knew she needed to be in Ukraine when the full-scale invasion started, and she moved there. She's actually trying to call me right now. I wonder if she's trying to join us. I'm going to mute, and Jim, you go ahead and take over for a second.
So, yeah, while Heidi talks to Zarina, I was lucky enough to go to the LA premiere last night. One of the most harrowing films I've ever seen, and that's saying something. I like to watch extreme horror movies for fun, and this thing broke me. And everyone needs to see it, not because it's horrifying, but because it shows the iron will of the people in Ukraine and shows the literal, provable, incontrovertible war crimes that are being inflicted on the people, the civilians of Ukraine. And I cannot recommend it more highly, and I'm going to do everything I can to try and get as many people to watch it as possible.
I just want to say that Zarina and I hosted last night the U.S. Hollywood premiere of The Eastern Front. I want to thank my podcast partner, Jim Stewartson, for coming. I want to thank a lot of our RadPod friends who actually showed up. My gosh, Holly and Jennifer and Lolo and my friend Dan Brown flew in from Canada. Like, it was just really just incredibly heartwarming to look around that room and see the people that made it. And it was interesting because so many of the people that came were people that I have met on Twitter, and they're now my friends in real life, and it's really quite beautiful. Zarina was the star of the show. I'm sure we'll be showing you photos. She should be here. She was in the waiting room. I told her to dump out and come back. Can you see if she's back? She should be here. No? Okay. I'll tell her to try again because she said she's been sitting in there. So, uh, ah, yes.
Hi
Yeah.
there. Hi. Hi, guys.
Hi,
Hey.
Zarina.
So we know that you're busy, you're on the road, it's crazy, and we just wanted to thank you so much for joining us, and B, we
Well,
just
thank you
showed
for having me.
we love you, girl. We just showed the trailer, and I know you only have a couple minutes, but I so much want you to say what it was like to actually have an audience of people in Hollywood last night asking really heartfelt questions after seeing the movie.
Thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for this question too. I felt very grateful and privileged that I could bring these voices to the outer world, because in Ukraine people know what's happening. Outside, there's not that much awareness. And of course, I would love for more people to be able to watch the film. But I'm very grateful for those who were there, for those who are going to join us on San Francisco, for those who are planning to watch it online. And I know there were some reviews, Jim, I think you wrote. I didn't have time to read it yet because I was driving all day long. So I'm looking forward to more interactions. I welcome all questions. There are no such things as bad questions. Questions are good because they lead to discussions, and discussions are the foundation of democracy.
Thank you so much, Zarina. And one of the beautiful things about last night's screening is some of the people there donated to two gentlemen in the film who are actually bringing water to an area where they have none. And also, as Zarina noted, there is a lot of opportunities for people to help. Clearly, Zarina, there was a crisis last week that has affected so many people. And can you speak on that for just a moment, and any recommendations on how people can help?
All right. Thank you, Heidi. If you haven't heard yet, there has been a terrible man-made disaster, which was the Novakhovka Dam flooding, which the evidence now shows the Russian military have done on purpose. Most likely, many intelligence services, including the British intelligence and the Pentagon services, come to the conclusion that this is what the Russians did in order to halter and slow down the Ukrainian counteroffensive. And to me, as someone who writes reports, including reports on a daily basis, I come to the same conclusion. It's their signature. Since then, they have blown up a couple of other dams. This is just what they do. We know historically in World War II they did the same in the same area. So there are all grounds to believe that it was man-made disaster. Of course, here comes the disinformation piece, because the Russians blamed it on Ukrainians, which wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. This is like shooting yourself in the foot, and not even in the foot, but in the heart, because disaster will prevent agriculture development in the area for years to come. So Ukrainians couldn't possibly have done it.
Of course.
After reporting from this area for about this is just in style. This is not the strategy that the Ukrainian military has been using. I truly believe that that was created by the Russian military. And what happened, the flooded the city suffering Kherson, which was liberated last night. since then, not a day has passed that Kherson wasn't being bombed, shelled, artillery fire, by the other side of the river. So
Thank you.
now we are dealing with the same area being flooded.
Yeah.
And many houses went underwater. Overall, on the Ukraine-controlled territory, we have about, I believe, 40 settlements. The situation is even worse in the occupied territory. Of course, a little help can be provided there, but in Ukraine-controlled Kherson, all I have to people that one can watch in the film. The gentleman who shows us the use of the phosphorus in question weapon is now rescuing his neighbors, and he's been collecting funds for boats, for humanitarian aid. So I've been transferring money to his bank account. So
Great.
one of the options would be Heidi has all the information to send the money to us, and we
Yeah.
will forward it to Volodymyr.
Yep.
There are also all other charities that operate in the area, and you can Google and find something else that
Do I have your
you
permission
think
to
is.
do I have your permission to give out the Arts Resistance email right now where people could donate right away and then the funds can be dispersed to whoever is most necessary? Let me just
Yes,
do that right now.
this is the Gmail for PayPal, and what
Yeah.
happens, so people know, I transfer it to my contact who has a Ukrainian bank account, because
Yeah.
people in Kherson don't have PayPal. So I
Okay.
PayPal it to my contact, and she sends me the screens and forwards the money to Kherson. And then people
So
from Kherson later, I want for accountability to explain the process. They
of
send me
course.
the pictures of the goods that they're able to purchase and videos of interviews with people who they're able to be rescued with these funds. So it's a process that we fully control from point A to point B. I have all the receipts. So
Okay,
that's
great. I'm just going to let people know artsresistance@gmail.com, artsresistance, ARTS resistance @gmail.com via PayPal. That will actually be able to be funds that Zarina can use to be helpful. There are many people in the film who are featured. She showed the real people who are going through just terrible criminal acts by the Russian military. And even as she updates the story after the film was, made, she finds out that when she makes a call to see how people are doing, more people are still losing lives every day. And so it's just incredibly important that we continue to help people and continue to update what is happening. And one of the most important things about the film, for those who have not seen it yet, and they can if they go to bylinetv.com, is that that Zarina and John Sweeney and the film crew documented actual war crimes that are occurring in real time against the people in Ukraine from the Russian military. And do you want to say a couple words about that? We're having a hard time hearing you, Zarina. Maybe kill the video for just a second and see if the audio works. See what happens if you go. There you go. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you uncovered if you have a minute. Okay, we should be able to hear you now.
Can you hear
Yeah, we
me
can hear
now?
you. Yes, we sure can. Yep.
Yeah. So we have a couple minutes, and I apologize for that. But as you could have seen, I'm in the car. Well, the car
I
is
know.
parked, so to speak. But we follow of lines for investigation in the film. As I was talking to Ukrainian military, they have shared a video of what seemed to be, or what they called, the phosphorus bomb, which was very likely to be a chemical weapon. We are, none of us in the crew is a military expert, so we did investigate the case. We contacted several people who have expertise in chemical weapons, and we traveled all the way to Kherson to find the parts of these projectiles, which they turned out to be. So most likely these are illuminating projectiles called lustra in Ukrainian, and they are used to, um, in general, in military, they are used to illuminate the military target. When they are used on the civilian targets, this is a war crime or a crime against humanity, and it's against the Geneva Conventions. So we have transferred all the materials, the evidence that we found, to the International Criminal Court, and it's being investigated along with other Russian war crimes. We also follow the claims about the torture of civilians, and we perform some. Well, we don't search them, but we film in the basements that were used for torture, and we do interview a couple of survivors of the Russian torture. So that constitutes another crime against humanity and war crime. And I just recommend you to watch the film, because it's
Yep.
harder to describe
Yeah.
what really went into it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know that you have to go. The last thing I want to say is we're going to show a picture of you at the premiere last night. Is there anything you can say about the statements you made?
Yes, I want to say that please take off this horrible letter Z from my avatar, because it is like a Russian swastika. So don't put it next to my name, please. But
Okay.
yeah, thank you for having me. I just, like Zelensky, we share the misfortune of having the name that starts with the Russian swastika.
Right, right. Well, I just love this photo. We're just showing a picture of you and I at the premiere last night, and we will let you go, and we will update people on where they can see the film. And I look forward to hearing some more media feedback. I know you were interviewed by international crews today, I think Polish media, and I did a
Yep.
Q&A with you in Byline Supplement yesterday, which was or ran a couple days ago, which was really profoundly, I think, important. So I thank you so much,
And I just
Zarina.
want to add that in that picture, we using fashion as a way to fight, because Heidi is wearing leopard print dress, which is a call to give Ukraine more leopard tanks. And my shirt is self-explicable. Thank you so much.
We love you, girl. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks, Irina.
Bye. Bye.
Oh boy. Yeah, I see what she's saying with Z. Yeah, everything is, I actually told her that I have a t-shirt that I got, really right before the war broke out, when I knew it was coming, the full-scale invasion, with my no war hashtag. And she said, you can't wear that anymore because the Russians have co-opted that. They've actually taken the no war. And it's like, damn, I love that shirt, but I get it. But no one's going to take away my Viva la Resistance shirt.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have to issue a correction. It's byline.tv.
Oh, okay.
Where you can watch the Eastern Front.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
Byline.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I think bylinetv.com goes to byline.
okay. All right. Well,
checked.
regardless, you'll find it Googling Byline TV. You can always go to Byline Times. It's called the Eastern Front. It's very important. Jim wrote a beautiful report on it today. Yeah, I was telling you that one of our friends who flew in for the premiere, I ended up taking him to Huntington Gardens, and I was walking all over the garden today. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at these flowers just for a moment, and tears just coming down, because the film I've already seen it multiple times, but the film is so powerful as these people just very simply and eloquently tell their story of what they're living through. And there's a moment in the film where people talk about this beautiful park that they created, and they had to cut down trees for firewood because the war, the attacks on their town resulted in losing power. And in order to stay warm and alive, they literally had to cut down their own beautiful trees that they had grown. So these are the types of human stories in the Eastern Front. And Jim, I think you got to take it away from here, because I'm feeling all the feels again.
I hear you. So what Heidi is saying about the human stories is right. That is the most important part. But I wanted to just describe for a second one of the war crimes that was uncovered that Zarina alluded to. The weapons that they show in the film look like fireworks. There are these giant sort of blooms of incredibly bright sparks. And each one of those sparks is a pellet about like this, full of thermite or very close to thermite that burns at 2,500 plus degrees. So this munition goes off, and it's silent, by the way. So nobody knows it's coming. You don't know that this thing has hit you until your house is engulfed in fire. So what happens is this bloom comes out over your neighborhood, and every one of these pellets about this big, burning at 2,500 degrees, melts every single thing it touches and burns through it, igniting whatever it touches, and burns through that and burns through that. Fucking hell rained down on civilians in order to burn them out of their homes. And they found these fucking things. This is not, there's videos. Here's a video from this guy's, I mean, the evidence is right there. They have bags of these fucking things. That's a war crime. He's burning people out of their homes for no other reason than terror. The reason why I want to make clear exactly how sadistic and fucked up this is because Americans, we need to do our job at educating ourselves and our fellow Americans about what's going on. Because all of the stuff that we report on here, all of the traitors and Votniks and everybody else on here, the real purpose behind it is to get us to take our eye off Ukraine. Wow. It's to get us to not care about the Ukrainians, to think they're Nazis, to think they're not 90-year-old Ukrainian ladies who are there to protect their fucking chickens. And every time a rocket goes off, they go out there with their broom and fucking sweep. That's what this is. There's no Ukrainian Nazis or any more than there is anywhere else. That's fucking bullshit. This is crimes against humanity being inflicted on civilians. And if anybody in America thinks that shit can't come here, that's what you guys thought about all the rest of this shit. Could never happen here, all this fascism. We can never lose women's rights. Understand that the end state of what they're trying to do here is that we're the Western Front of the Eastern Front over there. We need to do our fucking job and help them out. And it starts with watching this movie. So please do that in any way you can. I am going to organize whatever I can to get a viewing party of some kind together so that we can support this film and the people who made it. Last note, as brilliant as Zarina is, and she is, John fucking Sweeney oh my God, that guy breaks me. His voice, his presence, the way he deals with the human beings on the ground is just remarkable to watch. So
Yeah, incredible. Thank you, Jim. I want to let people know that the war crimes that they documented that Jim just detailed, that happened in an area with no military. This was, as Jim said, to cause terror on civilians. This was not a military base. There was no soldiers there. This was literally to cause terror and burn civilians out of their homes.
and
And I
to
think,
punish Kherson because they recaptured Kherson.
yeah,
One of the most beautiful scenes in the movie is when is the joy that people in Kherson felt when they were liberated,
right.
right? And then they feel like, okay, we can breathe now, and then fucking hellfire,
Yeah,
literally
hellfire.
2,500-degree hellfire comes from the sky and burns them out of their fucking homes.
And it's very important to note that Zarina and John and the director Kaylin and the other correspondent Paul Conroy, veteran war correspondent, that they told the stories of the people of Kherson and the other places that they went to by, often seeking out some of the elders, the older adults. And there's one woman who can't move. She can't walk. She's not able to even get from the couch to the bathroom. And, she's terrified and she's in her 90s and living out her life in terror because the West hasn't done any fucking thing or not enough since 2014 to prevent what's actually happening now. And I just want to read you something that Tim Snyder said about the 2014 war. And I may have read it last week, but I'm going to keep reading it because it's what we do on this show. And it's what we do, I feel, that matters on this show. Yale professor who wrote on tyranny, Timothy Snyder, said in an interview on Frontline, what Russia was able to prove was that, as a matter of fact, we can invade a country and we can make you think that it didn't actually happen. And he's speaking of 2014. And that's what happened. And so because we didn't do anything in 2014, or certainly not enough, fast forward 9 years later and 90-plus-year-old women have to live through this. So
Can I make one point there? 2014, Vladimir Putin using GRU Spetsnaz soldiers in February of 2014 invaded Crimea, took over their government buildings, took over their their communities quietly, without anybody in the West really having any idea until it was over. Now, what part of the American government is supposed to know about stuff like that? About stuff like Putin invading our ally next to all the NATO countries, his main target for the last 20 years. Well, who's supposed to tell the President of the United States about that? The Defense Intelligence Agency, military intelligence. In 2014, the person in charge of the Defense Intelligence Agency was Mike fucking Flynn. What happened here was Vladimir Putin invaded. The DIA knew, but Mike Flynn chose not to tell anybody above him. And then he made some excuses about how his people were supposed to tell their people. Russia invaded Ukraine on his watch, and he didn't say shit. And so all these crimes, all of this horror and death can be traced back to what is charitably one of the greatest failures of military intelligence in American history. Now, the reason for this failure, you may be able to guess for yourself. And you may know that I'm being sued in part for pointing out the fact that this guy was in charge when all of this started, when all of this death started, when a fucking fascist invaded a country full of beautiful people who had nothing to do with any of his bullshit.
People who just want to live their lives. People who just want to live their lives in peace. People who just
So-
want to defend their land.
So let me I'll land this fucking plane. There's a reason why I'm fighting this particular fight against these particular people, because that's where it comes from. It's where it comes from. American traitors enabling a theocratic fascist across the world to try and create a new Fourth Reich. Not on our fucking watch.
Word. HiFi?
I think the thing people really, really need to remember here is that we are in World War III, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine is just the people dying part of it. I mean, just this week, France uncovered a major Russian disinformation plot, presenting fake news like it was coming from authentic French resources. And you know how the French get touchy about authentic resources. So
That's a great point. Yeah, there was something amazing that happened last night. Go ahead, HiFi.
if it's not from Russia, it's just sparkling disinformation. That's all.
So
I think I killed Jim.
So you'll have to explain to Lucy later. So all I wanted to say is that last night at the screening, there was a really important moment. The first question that came up when we did the Q&A part was from a woman who's from Venezuela. And she was so emotional. And everybody brings their own stuff to the Eastern Front when they watch the film. For me, it was the fact that my parents grew up during war, refugees having to leave their land, having everything taken, having to be shipped on cattle trains to another city, being forced to be taken in. And it's like, so I'm watching, again, it's the story being told through the people and through a lot of the older adults. And that was really emotional. But this friend from Venezuela was talking about, she was like, me too, my people too, my country too. And no one's doing anything about it. And what do we do? And I'm going to go back to, do you want to comment on that, Jim? Or I want to go back to something that Tim Snyder said, because I think this is a good through line. He's talking about 2014 again. He said the Russians totally had our minds in a trap and we were totally unprepared. They were paying attention to us, at least in the negative sense of knowing what our vulnerabilities were on social media. So what we were not prepared for was the possibility that actually the ideas and the culture and the digital technology were not working for us. They were working for somebody else. And he said he didn't want to underestimate how important Russian propaganda was at that time. But then he said, once we'd been had in 2014, we should have been better prepared for being had in 2016. And we were not. And we still aren't. And we are still in denial as a country overall about the fact that we were had in 2016. And, That's why the Jack Smith in front of the podium, bad lighting and haircut was really fucking important. It's 7 years after 2016, but it's still important.
There's a Trotsky quote that I think is appropriate here. You may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you. That is incredibly important, right? Because we've been sort of trained to believe that we're fucking Americans. They can't attack us over here. We're in America. Well, they are. Just like they managed to sneak into fucking Crimea without a word, because American traders helped them. They've snuck into America and are infiltrating the shit out of our entire country. One of the things they touched on in the film was Tucker and giant forehead Matt Gaetz and all these fucking vodniks, literally in government, right? Who are clearly, like, if not in the direct employ of the Kremlin, in indirect employ of the Kremlin, right? Tucker's on here going, we don't care about Ukraine. Putin's not so bad. It's just as blatant as it can be. And we need to start, as Trotsky said, recognizing that we're at war, whether we want to face that or not. Do you have something?
Yeah, I was just, you know how we like to run a quick Google search, and I just realized, there was a plot in Moldova. There was there were Russian spies that were kicked out of Bulgaria. There was a plot in Germany to assassinate members of their government.
A leader had to step down in Austria.
Austria. The head of the German cybersecurity had to step down because of ties to a Russian company. France just had their big thing. In Spain, what was it? Starts with a C. Help me out here. Something exit. You guys remember what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It was. Yeah. That was attached to Russia.
Well, let's go back home. Yeah, let's go back home. Brexit, obviously 2016 here in America. Let's go back home to what I wrote about CalExit being funded by a Russian, Kremlin, FSB cutout. Then let's go to the Americans that were just indicted. 4 Americans were just indicted for being Russian, essentially working for the Russians to try to corrupt elections.
Charles McGonigal.
Of
the New York motherfucking FBI counterintelligence chief of the New York FBI during the 2016 election, which happens to be the exact same agency that got Comey to reopen her fucking emails 11 days before the election, which cost her the presidency.
So we just gave our audience a litany. I mean, we didn't even mention Brazil and Bolsonaro, right?
Or the dearly departed Berlusconi in Italy.
Mali, right? We know that Wagner's in Mali. We've just given our audience this huge list of all these fucked up Russian plots going on all over the world. And yet, Trump and Russia is a hoax, folks.
Russia gate. Russia. Blue and on.
What?
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that because it wasn't until we had Keir Giles on. And Jim brought up Russia. And Keir Giles said very straight, and he wrote Russia's War on Everybody. Read it if you haven't. He said very straight faced. He goes, "That was very effective propaganda." And I felt like the guy in the chair in that cassette tape ad, that Max something ad, where he goes, "Oh," I felt like I was just blown back 10 feet because I was like, "What?" That was effective propaganda. And then I was like, it still is. It's effective propaganda. So I've been trying to
in your head. It makes you feel stupid, right? Just like Russia, Russia, Russia. It's just like.
So I've been trying to come up with my own propaganda in 3 words, and ever since the 37, basically ever since the indictment, I've just been doing Spy Trader Con. I'm tired of not calling these people spies and traitors and cons. If Paul Manafort installed a Russian puppet in Ukraine and then worked for free for Trump to do it here in America and took tens of millions of dollars to do it, what does that make him? Does that make him a spy? Does it make him spy-y? Does it make him a traitor? What does it make him? But I'm tired of pussyfooting around this shit. I'm tired of words like mishandling and meddling. Spy trader con.
It's not a fucking documents case. It's a treason case. It's espionage.
Spy trader con.
I mean, if it's a documents case, the Rosenbergs were executed over a fucking documents case.
Exactly.
Okay.
Look, dude, have we seen the list of fucking agencies it comes from? There was some of those documents were so classified that they redacted the classification because it's so classified you can't even know what the classification's called. That's how fucking classified they were. From every agency that matters, the Department of Energy and all the nukes, the Defense Department. I mean, just the FBI, the CIA, every fucking agency on the planet, he got all the dirt he could, all the most valuable shit. Why did he have Macron's stuff, right? Why did he have stuff on Macron? Because it's valuable to the Russians. Why did he have all these, everybody's like defense plans for nukes? Who's that valuable to, right? It's not confusing what this is. And Jack Smith's indictment, by the way, and little Stan, holy fuck. 37 count felony indictment, totally 400 possible years of imprisonment on espionage and obstruction related charges. That's about as fucking shock and awe as it gets. And that's the little case. That's one person in the little case. Imagine what J6 is going to look like.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at it. 37 felony counts, 31 counts of willful retention of national defense information under the Espionage Act. So what's important is that we created this show because we're in a propaganda war, a disinformation war. People are being radicalized. And when you get somebody like, let's just say, the head of the CNP on one of these phony Votnik news channels, Kremlin news channels. So stop.
Sorry.
So the reason
anytime
let me try to semi-land this plane.
Grab my tweet, HiFi.
It doesn't matter if it's him, it doesn't matter if it's Jim Jordan, doesn't matter if it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, doesn't matter if it's Boebert, doesn't matter if it's Gates, doesn't matter who the fuck it is. It's all these Votniks. They get up there and they minimize this because that's their job, right? But what happens is it's like this addiction thing that we talk about with radicalization. It means that they're going to keep the people who are addicted to these lies, who live in that world of unreality that must precede fascism. they're going to stay safe in their cocoon. They'll be tuned into a channel that's going to say, don't worry, this isn't such a big deal. And I want to say, and we're going to show it at the end of the show, that 3 minutes with Jack Smith was for me an absolute like we're living in this mass unreality of all of this narrative warfare and propaganda. You drop a guy in, bad lighting, 3 minutes, in and out. And that for me was like the most, I feel like we're absolutely living through all of these historic moments. And I don't want to say it was like a nuclear bomb because I don't want to compare it to a weapon like that. But it was something that's like, if you out there and you're still on the fence about Russia, and you've got a guy who might be keeping some fucking nuclear secrets in his bathroom, so when Boris leaves the dance floor and goes and does a couple bumps to YMCA in the bathroom with his cell phone, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know what that does to our allies? Do you know what that does to not only our national security, but the national security of the world? Get out, wake up, man, you know?
Yeah, do
Doing a
bumps
couple
at
of
home,
bumps
you
in the
fucking
bathroom
idiots.
is
Oh,
pretty
you
funny.
know damn well that there is some
course.
guy named Boris
So
doing
I
some
wanted
bumps in the
to.
bathroom.
You mentioned a person, and I just wanted to briefly talk about one Mr. Tom Fitton, who who is the
He
this
has the
motherfucker.
most chafed nipples in the
No,
history
don't
of
show
man
that
ever.
picture. You should show the most recent one. He's not so swole right now. It looks like he's
No,
already like,
that's his recent one. That's see,
no,
this
there's
is
a more recent one. He looks like
no.
Wayne Newton.
Heidi, this is the one where he 5 days ago where he got a door knock while he was on air. So I'm going to do a little Tom Fitton right now. So go find the other one with the better picture. You know, the incredible picture.
The green one? Oh man,
Yes.
you're gonna make me look that one up.
Come
Okay,
on,
hold
man.
on.
Well, because it's got the quote too that I'm about to talk about. So Tom Fitton runs Judicial Watch, which is just a fucking arm of the CNP that does FOIAs and stuff and tries to find dirt and then makes up bullshit propaganda about it.
Right now, some lawyer is going, okay, we're going to have Tom Fitton now.
Yeah. Come on, Tom. Do it.
I'm sorry.
I need that. Anyway, so Tom Fitton is head of Judicial Watch and president of the Council for National Policy, the 50-year-old dominionist, like crazy shit, terrorist organization.
Scary stuff.
That
is that what you're looking for?
Yes. Well, the other picture, but yes. So Tom Fitton is the guy who told this guy. Is the guy who told Donald Trump that it was totally fine for him to keep classified documents in the bathroom with Russian oligarchs doing bumps. That's Tom Fitton is the one who got Donald Trump nearly 400 years of potential prison time. Now, HiFi, right underneath that tweet was one other tweet. I want you to go back to that one because that's where I'm going to land my plane. So Tom Fitton has a best friend. But guess who Tom Fitton's best friend is? HiFi, come on, pull it off, man. You can do it. Yes, Tom Fitton's best friend is Mike fucking Flynn. So just click on these. It's just, you just type in Flynn Fitton. It is just a slew of video interviews of Tom talking about how poor Flinny has been misconducted upon, and all the terrible things. Look at the people defending Mike Flynn. Anyway, that guy on the right just got a door knock. and just got called out for being the guy who got Donald Trump 400 4 centuries worth of potential.
Well, I do want, this is a good place to remind people that when Yanukovych had to flee Ukraine after Paul Manafort, his handler, helped get him installed there, he took 40 people with him. So I'm just saying, like, when you see these guys broing down all for each other, and you know that they've been charged or indicted or doorstepped or door knocked or, pardoned or whatever, it's like I just picture them all getting on a plane one day and just, getting the fuck out of the U.S.
They at some point, like Tara Reid sort of. First it was Snowden, right?
She's
But
what do you call it when someone goes first? The tracker, like
she's a
she's
pioneer.
like a scout,
She's a pioneer. She's a scout. She's like, don't let them put you in this apartment building. Make them put you in this one. It's much better. You stay in my basement. So Snowden's got an attic you can stay in.
Will it have a gold turlet is what I want to know.
Can I just point out something?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to point out that there are indeed two systems of justice in the United States.
That is true.
Because Chelsea Manning did not get bail. Reality Winner did not get bail. Donald Trump walked out on a signature. Reality Winner had one document. Donald Trump has, who even knows anymore? They haven't searched everything, have they? Yeah, there are two systems. There's the one that normal people face, and then there's the one for the rich.
I did think about that.
Yeah.
I did think about that. And the one thing that I thought about is at least he has Secret Service with him at all times, so they know where he is. I look, the very first thing I did was write a column, Arrest Donald Trump, Save the World. People who didn't read it was like, it's going to be more than arresting Donald Trump. I'm like, you didn't read what I wrote. What I wrote was revisiting what Stephen Hawking said, which is that our planet is in real big fucking danger. And if we don't take this seriously, we are not going to have a habitable planet. And he basically said that Trump could cause, what could be at this point avoidable environmental damage. And so my point was that any member of the media who's following the election like a horse race, 2024 candidate, no, we can't even entertain that. No, we can't use the framing that might have worked a decade ago or 15 years ago. We need a whole other kind of framing for this. We can't have any GOP leaders in power in 2024 because we do need to save the world, and they are not intent on that. They are fossil fuel hacks, many of them Christo-fascist hacks, and a lot of them are on votniksoup.com. So go to votniksoup.com, look up number 64, number 62, number 63, number 188.
I do like the fact that Pekka dropped a hint of who number 200 will be. Did you guys catch it?
No, what was the hint?
He's a fucking problem.
Oh.
He didn't say that, did he? Because I figured 200 was going to be Musk.
No, he said it. I saw it. He said it.
But what exactly did he say?
He said that's number 200.
So,
oh. Well, yeah. I mean, shoot, I've written some articles on that, thanks to you smart guys.
Yeah. Again, for everyone out there in the audience, I would like to remind them that not enough people talk about the fact that Elon Musk is a probably sociopathic sexual predator who paid $250,000 in a pony for a hand job. Thank you.
You just
He
like saying
offered.
that.
He offered that there's no evidence that that transaction actually took place. There is evidence that that offer was given to a young lady who did not want a pony. Apparently, that bad. I would
So
also I would also like to remind people on a more serious note that Elon Musk had two conversations with Vladimir Putin, according to Ian Bremmer, and subsequently shut off fucking Starlink to Crimea so that the goddamn Ukrainian forces couldn't operate there. Because guess what? Because Elon Musk is on the side of just let him keep Crimea. Otherwise, there's gonna be a nuclear war. Oh my God, nuclear war. It is comically obvious, dumb Kremlin bullshit, and don't believe any of it. He bought Twitter to break it and to give a lot of information to bad.
this is the Twitter operation, and I don't think it's going so great for him because people like us and a lot of others are still out there wrecking shop. One thing I do want to say, HiFi, before we go to you, is I don't watch TV, as you guys know. I hear from people who do watch TV, and I'm sad to report that according to a friend of mine, Bill Maher said something about Elon Musk to the effect of, "Oh, he's just a nerdy engineer." And again, like, this stuff is not cute. It's not funny. It's not. It's dangerous. I wrote.
Don't get me started on Bill Maher. Bill Maher, by the way, is a victim of Peter Thiel's QAnon for white people.
The dark enlightenment.
The intellectual dark
Or
web.
the intellectual.
The intellectual
And I need to point something else out. Everybody's like, oh, Elon is such a savvy businessman. Well, if he's such a savvy businessman, why is he being evicted from his Colorado office?
Well, so just read.
I just have to point out that we had a Peter Thiel moment, and you didn't.
Oh, just do us a favor though. Read my Unmusk piece in my requiem for a frenemy, my Twitter elegy piece, because again, I know you guys because of Twitter. There's been so many amazing things. All my teams came out of Twitter. My byline crew came out of Twitter. Like everything. And so to know that a Votnik is running the Twitter operation is, should be more terrifying than it feels at the moment. But
it's weird for me because the Votnik is the one who let me back on. It was it was the fucking morons who were running it before, who got mind fucked by a bunch of trolls. I mean, that was a shit show. Anyway.
Yeah, good times, man. We're gonna look back.
It was a shit show. It's been a shit show. It will continue to be a shit show.
It will always be a shit show. It was designed to be a shit show.
Yeah, right.
It was designed by fucking Jack Dorsey, who's an anarcho-capitalist, altruistic fucking one of those guys who believes that Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk, his friend, and all of his PayPal mafia buds should be able to tear down the goddamn world and fuck everybody's mind up, because the best thing is for the billionaires to just decide everything for us. That's what all this shit is about with long-termism and effective altruism. It's all just nonsense. It's all excuses for billionaires for their malignant, messianic narcissism.
Thank you, Jim. Before we toss to our end clip, I just want to say that what writers do is they give things from the heart. And Zarina brought me an advanced copy of her novel, We Monsters. And the one that she gave me has her editor's notes in it. That's just fucking cool. Just want to say that. That's cool.
Okay, that's cool.
That's cool.
That is cool.
It's not fair. You get to just brag about shit like that.
She also gave me this one too, but I mean,
I hope you have enough for everyone, Heidi.
I don't. Not everyone gets a trophy tonight.
Right.
So I'm so glad everybody joined our non-shit show. I love the work we do. We have some incredible episodes coming up. Oh my gosh. I've got David Pepper coming back to my Betty Dangerous Speakeasy on Sunday, and that is really exciting. He's got a book, Saving Democracy, which he basically just starts the book at all the things that you can do, as opposed to all the shit that's fucked up. It's like everything that you can do to save your democracy. So that's very important. But speaking of saving democracy, I know we put a lot of pressure on the special counsel, but the special counsel is delivering. And so I'd like Americans who believe that who believe the propaganda to actually take a moment and just listen to the words of special counsel Jack Smith.
Good afternoon. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice. This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida, and I invite everyone to read it in full to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged. The men and women of the United States intelligence community and our armed forces dedicate their lives to protecting our nation and its people. Our laws that protect national defense information are critical for the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced. Violations of those laws put our country at risk. Adherence to the rule of law is a bedrock principle of the Department of Justice, and our nation's commitment to the rule of law sets an example for the world. We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone. Applying those laws, collecting facts, that's what determines the outcome of an investigation. Nothing more and nothing less. The prosecutors in my office are among the most talented and experienced in the Department of Justice. They have investigated this case hewing to the highest ethical standards, and they will continue to do so as this case proceeds. It's very important for me to note that the defendants in this case must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. To that end, my office will seek a speedy trial in this matter, consistent with the public interest and the rights of the accused. We very much look forward to presenting our case to a jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida. In conclusion, I would like to thank the dedicated public servants of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, with whom my office is conducting this investigation and who work tirelessly every day upholding the rule of law in our country. I'm deeply proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Thank you very much.
Why Florida, sir? Why?